Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a 2014 Prizm vs. Topps Chrome 2017 video where I look through the market cap primarily through a Messi and Ronaldo point of view, but I will extrapolate that to other players. Pretty convenient given the news that we got today with Messi going to the MLS. I think that's going to, I think it's huge realistically. If him and Ronaldo both would have won off to Saudi, I think that would have been pretty rough. Obviously, those two things happening within a pretty quick time frame is going to, give different catalysts up and down to each of the players depending on how you see it. But we'll put that aside and we'll talk solely on what the numbers are at the moment. So let's go ahead and do it. So I'll start by saying that these numbers are inherently flawed. What you are going to be seeing whenever you calculate market cap within a sports card realm, it is in and of itself impossible to do. First off, you don't know how much is going to be graded in the future and in what grade, so I'm going to assume PSA 9 and 10 just to make it easy, and there's a lot of data in those grade ranges, so I can use that. In addition to that, I'm assuming that all of the owners of these cards want to sell them at current comps. That's how I am calculating the market cap. Basically, the total number of cards out there multiplied by, what types of grades they appear in the most, and then their respective comps. Of course, all the owners aren't going to want to sell them all at the same time, so, make it that way you may. And then finally, I'll just say that it's best to view these numbers comparatively. Look at one person to another, one set to another. I think that's a much better way to go about it, rather than taking these numbers as gospel, because that is not the purpose of this. This is just a fun thought experiment. So we're going to start with the 2014 Prizm Ronaldos here. On the right-hand side, we have a PSA 9 and 10 right here. PSA 9's 76%, PSA 10's 24%. Pretty hard to get a gem here. Obviously, there are lesser grades, but again, I'm assuming 9s or 10s. Assuming that the blue market cap would be 300K, we then have the red at 300K as well, which of course means that the reds are priced a little bit higher. There's 50 less of them. So at the same time, while they're priced higher, the market cap is not greater, which is a little surprising, I guess. The purples are at 212, a good bit lower. The blue pulsars are at 122. For those that don't know, basically that's a national convention release, so it's not from the traditional packs, and that's why it probably has a bit lesser value there. In addition, there's only 55, so not as many cards to go around. Then we have the green crystal at 456,000, followed by the gold at 340, and a gold power at 155. I don't have a picture of the gold power because I could not find one. Nonetheless, pretty surprising that it is close to the lowest, but at the same time, they don't sell that often, so again, very hard to comp. All in all, that means we have a market cap here of 1.8, almost 1.9 mil in total. Then we'll go ahead and take a look at his Topps Chrome. Here we have the Ronaldo purple coming in at 131K. Important to note that the PSA 10 pop is much higher, 70% here, so quite a bit boosted. The blue is at 146K. The green is at 125. Then we have the gold at 350, the orange at 132, and then finally the red at 420. Overall in here, the red had a pretty good sale, I would say, recently, so maybe you could argue that's a bit lower. Of course, one comp can kind of make or break different, ranges for this. Generally speaking, I'm pretty impressed with how consistent the market caps are for each of the cards, relative to one another. The orange is about as much as the blue, is about as much as the green and purple, and then typically the golds and the reds, sort of stand out, and those seem to generally be the standouts in the set, especially for, Topps Chrome. Those are huge. All in all, that comes in a market cap of 1.3 mil. Relatively close to the Prizm, I would say. I expected probably a bit more of a gap. 1.3 to 1.9 is pretty respectable. But let's go ahead and take a look at Messi now and see how he compares, both in terms of his Chrome compared to his Prizm, but also how he compares to Ronaldo as well. So let's get into that. So we'll start with Messi's Prizm. His blue here is close to 700K in total. Of course, you have the color match with the jersey, so that's going to have a boosted premium. The red is at 350K, the purple a little bit over 500. Then we have the blue pulsar, which is a nice looking one, but again, not seen as highly at 224. We then have the green crystals at 762. Then we have the gold at 1.3 million. Had a really nice sale at one point, and then a not so nice sale recently, so sort of evens out. And then finally the gold vinyl at a pretty puny 461K. I think there was a comp or two for this, so pretty respectable, but very interesting to see that discrepancy. I thought the green crystal had a lot of love, at least comparatively to where I figured it would be, and the gold definitely dwarfs everything else. I mean, you could have all the gold vinyls and the green crystals for less than the golds, and then the market cap is up to 4.34 mil in total. A good bit higher than Ronaldo. We'll talk about that more here in a second. Onto the Topps Chrome. Here we have the Messi purple at 199. We then have the blue at 233 and the green at 194. The gold then comes in at 450, dwarfing everything else by a good ways, followed by the orange at 192, and finally the red at 530. Ignore the auto. To be fair, this could be a little bit higher. I sort of had to comp it based off of where the auto sold, since there hasn't been a non-auto version to sell of this, at least from what I can find since the boom. It's very hard to comp, so it is what it is, but the red does look just amazing. In total, 1.8 mil for the market cap there. So knowing what we know now, we can put the four categories next to each other here and sort of compare. First off, the Cristiano Ronaldo Prizm is 43% higher in total theoretical market cap than the Cristiano Ronaldo Chrome, while the Messi Prizm is at 141% higher than his Chrome, which is quite the stark contrast. Now, you could say that that's, partially or maybe majorly fueled by the World Cup win that he had recently, and that would make sense. Notably, those cards haven't really had a run despite the World Cup win, so interesting to see those still holding such a high premium over the rest here. If we then go on to compare Messi and Ronaldo, Messi's 2014 Prizm is 130% higher than the Ronaldo's on average, while the Messi 2017 Chrome is 37% higher than the Ronaldo's on average. So make of that what you may. Of course, the Prizm narrative does exist, and we just mentioned it, but at the same time, I mean, I think Messi with Barca is a huge narrative. Obviously, Ronaldo at Real Madrid, most people will probably think of him there. But at the end of the day, he will have a few different teams that you theoretically could, see him in your mind's eye. So I don't know, Messi only being 37% higher for the Chrome seems like quite the deal to me. Maybe Ronaldo in terms of the Prizm is decent, but that's really interesting to see, and definitely something that's played out more so recently. I remember in the past, especially at times, I mean, they were basically hand in hand, and now this is a pretty significant lead, I would say, for Messi, and one that, I wouldn't see changing at any point in the near or long-term future, really. So we'll go on to look at a few other players. I just wanted to basically estimate what their market cap was. I take a few cards of theirs, compare it to what Ronaldo's and Messi's do in similar grade, and then scale the market caps accordingly. These are even, less accurate, but still I think they give a good general feel for what's going on. I do want to say before we go there, I have really no narrative to pump with Prizm or Topps Chrome. I just felt like this is a fun video. These are, kind of the two sets that people seem to talk about a lot. I don't have a lot of key cards for either of the sets, honestly, just because they're so expensive, and I think that, other things are probably more worthwhile. Nonetheless, I still find it fun and, want to talk through it. So just getting that out there before we keep going. But here we have a couple, or I guess actually about four 2014 extras. So here we have Neymar, got his market cap at close to 674K, which I thought was pretty high. I mean, honestly, that's about half of Ronaldo, which seems pretty strong personally. Then we continue on, Thomas Muller at 75.2. That feels, I mean, incredibly light. Obviously, I guess Bayern collectors aren't abundant per se, but there are a good amount of them. And, World Cup win. When you look at the performance of the two, obviously one was much better. Neymar, of course, though, Brazil World Cup, and he has the much better name, I would say. So it is what it is. Iniesta there at 90K as well, so near Muller, which, I get that he's more of a Barca legend and that type of stuff, but again, I feel like Muller's sort of disrespected there. And then finally we have Luis Suarez at 85, which I thought was kind of high. I would have thought maybe he's a little bit lower, but of course, when you're an attacker, you get the extra love. And then for 2017, we have a few here as well. So Robert Lewandowski, I got his estimate to be about 180K, which it felt pretty decent. I mean, relatively to the Muller, I feel like that's a decent price point in total. Then we have Mbappe, again, really light estimate here, but 3.42 mil. Again, this isn't including a super. And honestly, Mbappe's probably is a bit more, since I would imagine the low numbers are going to do a bit crazier than some of the low numbers do for other players. Then we have Modric at 175k, which I felt was pretty strong, especially in 2017 Topps Chrome, which had a lower market cap when we looked at comparing it to Prizm. And then finally, Kevin De Bruyne at 190, which I was pretty impressed by. To be fair, Man City is on this, huge run this year, so maybe his market cap is up a bit from that, I would say. But generally speaking, really fun thought experiment, and I'm glad I did it. But that is going to be it for this video. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Would love to hear your thoughts down below on Messi versus Ronaldo, Prizm versus Chrome, whatever you think. Always interested in learning more about that. I'm not someone that has a ton of these cards, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I do think that they're nice sets, and I noticed that a lot of other people like them. So I like talking about them and seeing what's going on there. And hopefully you guys did too. If you want to see more videos like this, as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. And also, if you have any ideas for other videos like this, I'm more than willing to try them out if I enjoy them. But yeah, with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.